New reports from the G20 summit show that the dystopian nightmare of a central bank digital currency, a complete system of control through government-issued digital IDs, and of course the return of one of the biggest changes to our modern economy, widespread government stimulus, is not only a possibility but a likelihood based on the statements coming out of the most powerful countries on earth from the recent G20 summit in New Delhi. You're going to need to buckle up tight because we're going to show you not only how digital IDs and government-issued CBDCs are coming to a jurisdiction near you, but how all of this works to send Bitcoin and crypto to astronomical new highs. If you guys are excited, you know what to do. Destroy that like button and let's dive in. First and foremost, what is the G20? Well, you'll never get this. Well, it's actually 20 governments, G20, and it's an intergovernmental forum comprising of the European Union and 19 sovereign countries. So the European Union is one of the 20. Obviously, there's many countries within the European Union. But suffice it to say, this is one of the biggest and most influential groups of actors in the world. Obviously, this is not a military alliance, but an economic one. So it's not like NATO, it's a group of countries with an economic alliance. Now, the difference between this and the World Economic Forum, you know, all those mysterious and shady billionaires talking about the Great Reset, you will own nothing and be happy. The WEF is especially spooky because they're not even governments. Nobody elected them. These are all just private companies, private people coming together, deciding what's going to happen with you, your family, your safety. That's especially spooky. But it's also spooky when governments around the world, the most powerful governments in the world, come together to do the same. Check out these statistics. The G20 represents over 80% of the world's GDP. They also represent over 60% of the world's population at 4.9 billion people. And they have a combined GDP of over $150 trillion. Suffice it to say that if this body comes together and can agree on anything, that it's powerful enough to create what appears to be a one world policy, a one world government. Now, beyond the absolutely shocking and freaky nature of these countries coming together in this way to decide things, let's talk about exactly what they discussed recently this month at the New Delhi summit, which was their most recent meeting. Here you can see the imagery for the G20 summit 2023 that happened in New Delhi, India. Now, what's notable and what we're going to focus on here is that they came out with this document called Policy Recommendations for Advancing Financial Inclusion and Productivity Gains from Digital Public Infrastructure. Digital public infrastructure. These are the key words that we really want to focus on, because what does digital public infrastructure really remind you of? Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, you can already see where we're going with this. A CBDC is digital public infrastructure. Digital IDs are digital public infrastructure. These are the things that we are most scared of, and we're going to tell you exactly why. They are an absolute dystopian nightmare on this episode. So let's level set here. How interested were they in these concepts? Or were they just mentioned once or twice? No, listen to this. DPI, or digital public infrastructure, was mentioned over 400 times in this document. That is an astronomically high count of DPI drops. The second thing, financial inclusion, was used 263 times. Digital ID, 83 times. And here's the kicker. Government-to-person payments was mentioned over 20 times. Anyone with a brain can easily put these things together. They're trying to figure out how to build a public system that is not decentralized, a centralized one. They never once used the term decentralized here. So we know that it will be a centralized system controlled by these governments, allowing or maybe forcing you to be financially included in this system. Of course, it will be programmable. It will have all the things that will allow for the government to, in a centralized way, see what everyone's spending their money on, even control what people are spending their money on, and of course, the hallmark of what we're going to see here, which is government-to-person payments. Now, remember this for the end, because I'm going to be connecting the dots and showing you what's about to happen here. It's pretty clear if you connect just a few little dots. Now, of course, the world is in a time of rapid change. And one of the biggest changes has been the increase of government-to-person payments. You see, in this document, it was noted that government-to-person payments have increased by a factor of 400% recently. And we're not talking about over the last 50 years. We're talking about over the last 4 years. That's right. What happened 4 years ago? We know. Since the beginning of the pandemic, government-to-person payments have skyrocketed. Remember those sweet, sweet stimmy checks we were getting in the mail? Well, guess what? They came with a hefty cost, massive inflation. asset prices reaching runaway valuations, the price of Bitcoin skyrocketing, the price of houses skyrocketing to the point where they are completely unaffordable for the average worker in the United States. But my friends, this is just the beginning. Because according to this document, the increase in G2P, or government to person payments, allows for a massive amount of financial inclusion. This is going to be the buzzword of the decade because it's probably going to be used to force through policies that we could only have imagined in our wildest, most dystopian nightmares about the future. But here they are, right in front of us. Check this out. We've learned that 9 out of 10 central banks are considering and working actively towards testing a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, where they could see every piece of financial information on any person in the country, all without any friction. And of course, we can only assume that they could also turn on or turn off anyone's ability to access this lovely, private, centralized system. Now, why would they be so obsessed with government-to-person payments, though? This is the thing that I think is really important to understanding what's going to happen next. Well, what's going to happen next, in my opinion, as we all know, is the rise of AI. We're seeing advancements in the sphere of AI that absolutely boggle the mind. Just look at Midjourney, the text-to-image generator that you can use in Discord. Look at Midjourney's progress over the course of just 12 months using the same exact text prompts. This is not linear growth. This is geometric exponential growth on the progress and utility of AI. In fact, go further and realize you don't have to go to the AI app anymore. AI is slowly being inserted and actually finding its way into every single product and service we use now. Of course, it starts with little bits of productivity increases, little bits of conveniences. Now I don't have to plan my trip to London. Now I don't have to actually research all the hotels. I can ask my AI to do it for me. Well, we also know that every high school and college kids are chat GPTing their way through school. Nobody's actually doing the work anymore. It's only a matter of time before automation and AI start wiping out all kinds of human-related productivity, of human-related value, to the point where it's going to be extremely hard for humans to have any work at all. And this, my friends, is the end game. Because once the progress of AI and automation reaches such a staggering pace that it doesn't really make sense to hire humans anymore, or worse yet, your business simply can't be competitive if you do hire humans to do human labor, when an AI can do it for a fraction, maybe even 1/1000th or less the cost, it becomes impossible to run a business if you're not leveraging this tech. And that's what's coming. Maybe 5 to 10 years away, we're gonna see AI replace so many jobs, it's gonna make your head spin. AI very well might replace me as a content creator. It's gonna be pretty hard to compete with digital versions of me that can crank out 10 videos a day in the space of maybe, I don't know, a minute. It's gonna be really hard to compete with AI, no matter what industry you're in. And that's why people, especially desperate people, especially people without work, without wealth, will be begging for an alternative. And that alternative will be government-to-person payments in the form of a CBDC. And my friends, they want you to be financially included. They definitely do. But once you're financially included, the question is, what's going to happen to your privacy, to your rights? What does ticking that little terms of service I agree box mean when it comes to participating in a CBDC? Are the elections still going to be up to you to decide? Or are special interests going to decide what is the good behavior? What is the bad behavior? What could get your credit lowered so that you don't get access to as many things to spend your CBDCs on? What is the economic reality? Because if history is any guide, we see that governments continually want to push to expand their power, expand their influence. And even if you believe that there are good people in the government, which of course there are, the reality is that new people come into governments all the time. And those new people, if they're given too much power, might use that power in a corrupt or downright horrifically dystopian way. History has made this very clear to us. And CBDCs, along with digital IDs, are easily the biggest threat to privacy that we've known in the history of this planet. We all know that this is bad, and hopefully we can rally together enough political support to ban CBDCs in the United States. We did see a bill actually passed the House Financial Services Committee trying to ban CBDCs as recent as this month. It's actually a huge step forward that our politicians understand the huge threat to the American way of life that a CBDC would pose. But the reality is that all of this is actually insanely bullish for Bitcoin. Let me explain. But before I do, I want to talk a little bit about the biggest step that I've taken in my life to actually control my own personal privacy, and that is by using a VPN. Now, the sponsor of today's video and many videos on this channel is NordVPN, and that's because there is absolutely no product that makes it as easy for you to conceal your IP address, conceal your personal information, and make sure that you are protecting yourself against some of the most toxic and downright dangerous data leakage out there on the internet. As many of you know, I was recently hacked, and that hack all stemmed from my personal data being leaked. It was all the little bits of personal data that I leaked, potentially using Wi-Fi while I was traveling, potentially not masking my IP address, potentially signing up for services and putting in too much information. Many of these things could have been easily prevented if I had just had NordVPN running automatically in the background. My favorite thing about NordVPN, and the reason why I chose to partner with them on this channel, is that if you're in crypto in 2023, you are one of the biggest targets for effectively being targeted by hackers. Lists of customers from Celsius, FTX, other cryptocurrency exchanges are constantly circulating the dark web. You don't want people to combine your personal data, the fact that you're a crypto user, and then start doing everything they can do to come after you and to target you personally. And a lot of that can be stopped simply by using NordVPN with threat protection. It's something that I'm using right now as I'm filming this video, and something I believe in strongly is one of the easiest ways to protect yourself online. For just $3 a month, you can get NordVPN. And look, if you don't like the product, you can give it back 30 days, money back guarantee, no questions asked. The only risk here is not trying it, letting your data leak like an absolute bozo, and ending up getting hit by a hacker with some ridiculous cost. I guarantee you it's going to be more than $3 a month for you to fix whatever might get broken in the event of a serious data breach, identity theft, or hack. I'm very passionate about and a personal user of NordVPN, and you can get a big, fat, juicy discount if you sign up with the link in the description of this video. It supports the channel, and I appreciate it. If there's ever a video that is as big an alarm bell to protect your privacy, it's this one, about the complete destruction of personal privacy and financial autonomy in the modern world. But what does that mean for our beloved coins, for our bags? Well, think about it. What they're doing right now with the Bitcoin ETF is creating a regulated on-ramp for Bitcoin, but you won't hold those Bitcoin. They will not be free Bitcoin. You will not be able to spend them and transact them to wherever you want on the open decentralized Bitcoin ledger, no. But you will be able to get maybe a little bit of protection from this massive and gargantuan debasement of the US dollar that is coming. You may be able to get a few glasses raised to you by your grandma, your uncle, your cousins who got into that Bitcoin ETF because you pushed them towards it. Oh, you're the smart investor at the table. We love having you around, son. But guess what? It's not true freedom. The true free Bitcoin will be gobbled up faster than you could ever imagine, because those will be the last true free scarce pieces of wealth on the internet. I believe that the push towards a CBDC will see them try to close down other rails. You just saw it with Citibank launching their own private blockchain. You see this with Chase Bank in the UK, disabling accounts from having any interaction with crypto-related exchanges or services. They're trying to cut off crypto, the free crypto, the real crypto. They're trying to block access to that and force you into a permission system with no privacy for you, the individual. And that is super scary. But in the meantime, what they're forecasting with this entire system is a move towards a dystopian CBDC system, is a move towards government-to-person payments at a scale that we've never seen before. And we can only assume that this will be a product of economic downturns in the future and much-needed stimulus to offset the dramatic effects of AI and automation. I've said this before, that one of my core investing hypotheses for the next 10 years is that we will have a UBI, or a universal basic income, like we saw with stimulus checks during the lockdowns. That's coming back, but it's coming back for good in the form of stimulus to those who are displaced by AI and automation. And my friends, in a world where the USD is infinity in supply, how much could it be worth for a Bitcoin, which is finite, or anything which is extremely finite? I believe that all of these things are going to lead to massive exponential increases in the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. However, it does not come without a cost. So please protect your privacy. Make sure you're ready for some of the biggest changes we've ever seen in the form of CBDCs, digital IDs, and a massive and unprecedented amount of government-to-person payments that will send Bitcoin and crypto's prices to previously unthinkably high numbers. As always, I'm EllioTrades. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click on this one. It's even better than the one you just watched. Check out NordVPN to protect your privacy. Shout out to them for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.